Good evening. We're back again. We're talking about what's going on in Iran. What's the latest news coming out at the third week today, March 14th.
As the war with Iran enters its third week now, Iran is threatening to hit U.S. oil and energy targets in the Middle East if its energy infrastructure is attacked. ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge reports this afternoon from Tel Aviv.
The US executing a large-scale precision strike on Iran's Karg Island. Central Command today.
As the war with Iran enters its third week now, Iran is threatening to hit U.S. oil and energy targets in the Middle East if its energy structure.
Iran's foreign minister is now saying there is no problem with Iran's new supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei.
Live from News Nation headquarters, this is News Nation Prime.
Hey, good evening to you. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Natasha Zuves. This is News Nation Prime. We've entered the third week of Operation Epic Fury, and strikes continue across the Middle East tonight. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad warning all Americans to leave Iraq now. And you can see plumes of smoke, buildings shaking in Iraq's financial center as a missile struck the U.S. Embassy compound in the country's capital. As we speak, USS Tripoli, thousands more of U.S. Marines on their way to the Middle East. And right now, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth saying Iran's strike force is being depleted. One-way drones are down 95%, ballistic missiles down 90%. President Trump saying Iran is being obliterated and they are ready to make a deal, but not one he is willing to accept. Meanwhile, Iran is warning people to evacuate 3 major ports in the United Arab Emirates after saying it will target them. The move retaliation for a U.S. strike on Hark Island, a critical Iranian oil export hub. For context, 90% of Iran's oil exports flow through this island. And speaking of oil, the U.S. Treasury Secretary saying it's possible the U.S. Navy will be escorting commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz as the global oil market is choked off from the Middle East supply. President Trump reassuring Americans that gas prices will fall once this conflict with Iran is over.
I think the gas prices, as soon as that's over, are going to come tumbling down along with everything else. I think it's going to be, you're going to see a very big decrease in the price of gasoline, gas, anything having to do with energy, as soon as this is ended.
News Nation's Robert Sherman on the ground in the Middle East tonight, getting a pulse of where things stand in this war. Robert.
Tonight, Iran is raising the stakes, threatening to hit American interests anywhere in the Middle East after American forces carried out a massive strike on Karg Island overnight, the oil lifeline for Iran, which makes up about 90% of its oil exports. The president saying only military targets were hit, missile stockpiles, mine storage units, but the oil infrastructure was spared. But that could change, according to the president, if attacks on ships in the Strait of Hormuz continue and the critical waterway remains closed. Iran, however, showing no signs of capitulation, hitting an oil site in the UAE with a drone today, causing black smoke to fill the skies above, calling on all civilians to evacuate 3 ports there in the UAE after accusing them of allowing the Americans to launch the strike on Karg Island from their soil, a claim the Emiratis deny. But it's not just energy infrastructure coming under fire, but diplomatic missions as well, with the U.S. Embassy complex in Baghdad being hit by a missile overnight. The State Department telling Americans there to leave Iraq now, with Iran's retaliations expected to continue. And as the tension rises, more U.S. troops are reportedly set to deploy to the region, possibly more than 2,000 of them. And among them, a Marine Expeditionary Unit, which would give the U.S. new capabilities, including boots-on-the-ground raids in Iran. The Pentagon not saying that will happen, but also not taking options off the table. For the time being, Iranian officials say they maintain the right to defend themselves and hit anyone who aids the Americans and Israelis. According to one Iranian member of parliament, that list should include Ukraine for helping Israel bolster its drone capabilities. For that reason alone, he says Ukraine should be viewed as a legitimate target.
Live from News Nation headquarters, this is News Nation Prime.
And on a new
with tankers on fire and ships dead in the water. Today, Secretary Pete Hegseth tried to project that the U.S. was in control of the Strait of Hormuz.
They are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with, we have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it.
CBS News has learned the Pentagon is sending more warships and up to 5,000 sailors and Marines to the Middle East as hundreds of tankers remain stuck, terrorized by Iranian attacks. The Trump administration says opening the strait is a top priority to keep the global oil supply moving. General Clinton Hinote studied what it would take to do just that.
Why is it so difficult to, quote unquote, open the Strait of Hormuz?
It's such a narrow waterway. And because they know where you're going to be, they can plan out their attacks. Say 8 times we get tankers through and 2 times we don't. Well, no company out there is going to take that risk.
The Pentagon says the pace of Iran's missile and drone attacks has decreased by over 90%. But Iran has attacked at least 16 ships in the Persian Gulf since the war began. Earlier this week, that Thai-flagged tanker was hit by a suspected missile. The Thai Navy says 3 crew members are still trapped on board, but it's too dangerous to rescue them.
What are the options that the U.S. currently has in terms of getting ships through there?
You're going to need to control the bank, the Iranian coastline. And if you do that, you're almost certainly going to need ground troops.
And Tony, that additional amphibious force being sent to the region also includes a contingent of Marines who are trained to land on shore and control territory. But General Hinote tells me that the least painful outcome for all sides would be a negotiated settlement. Tony.
Matt, thank you very much.
Now the U.S. flag is flying again in the U.S. Embassy of Venezuela after 7 years, people. And as we can see, exiled prince of Iran asking people of Iran to overthrow their government. This here.
دلاوران گارد جاویدان به شما به شجاعت و فداکاریتان درود می‌فرستم. در 3 ماه گذشته هزاران تن از شما در هسته‌های کوچک اما مؤثر در سراسر ایران جلوه‌های درخشان از دلاوری آفریده اید. آنچه شما کرده اید برای سده‌ها روایت خواهد شد. ملت ایران فداکاری شما و بهایی را که بویژه در 18 و 19 دی برای آزادی میهن پرداخته اید هرگز فراموش نخواهد کرد. به شما گفته بودم که کمک در راه است. اکنون آن کمک رسیده است. از شما دلیرترین و فداکارترین فرزندان ایران میخواهم که به عنوان نیروی پیشگام ملت به هر شکل ممکن دستگاه سرکوب جمهوری اسلامی را که اکنون از آسمان زیر ضربات سنگین است بیش از
As you can see, this is the flag originally from Iran after it was conquered by these people that took over Iran. They changed the flag, they changed the culture, they changed their religion, changed practically the way of life of them. Now, since they're fighting against this radical regime, and with the help of Israel and the U.S. Okay, people, this is it